Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
There's something very exciting we've been talking about a few times here, and I just want to bring it up again because it's changing lives. And this is called the instant change method, where you essentially rewire your brain with the help from somebody like this guy right here. Michael Danielson joins us again. Michael, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. And I just want to add something to that, Steve. It's not only rewiring your brain, it's rewiring your whole being.
Thank you for bringing that point up, because there's more going on than just up here. It's all of this. And when we say making instant change, what are we referring to?
So instant change is transforming your entire being. Because so many things in personal development only work in one area. Say they work on your conscious mind, and hypnosis, which is really good, it works with the subconscious mind. But it doesn't get down to your whole being, because we're not just a body. We're the energy body, and also our individual cells have their own intelligence. So you need to have all of those cooperating with each other to have the long-lasting change. That's why people read books, go to seminars. I call it the firecracker effect. You get a little bit of effect from it. You get a jump, but then it dissipates. The firecracker pops, and then there you go. So with instant change, you're working through your entire being. You add the emotional component to it, which makes it so powerful. When you have the emotion and energy and information, it transforms your whole being. So you're not just working in one area. Sorry about that.
No, I think that's great. Great. And what you brought up here is very powerful. The fact that we're talking about everything within your being, like your cells, everything, where this just makes that change happen. And it's not just in one area. It's so powerful. It's in many areas. And this is the mind blow here, is that it's 3 sessions, 20 minutes apiece, and you could change your life. If you have anxiety, if you have stress, if you're dealing with some emotional issues, maybe even potentially physical issues, this can change your life.
Absolutely. And I have worked with all of those things that you mentioned and seen very good results. And the instant change method does have a 98% universal success rate because it works throughout your entire being, which there's nothing else on the planet that can match that. That I could put it up against anything. And like you said, you're transforming your entire being. So the way I can describe this is, say you had a very emotional event, like the birth of a child, or hate to go to a negative part, but 9/11. You remember exactly where you are. And like that one instant, that one event, you remember it. And it has that emotional charge. And that just makes it so long lasting, because when you have the emotion behind it, everything we do is for an emotional reward. So once you trigger that emotion, your life changes always. You have a kid. Your life's not the same after you had that kid. That one moment changed your entire life. The way you actually acted. What I call it is your core paradigm. That's your beliefs, that's your values, that's your regular paradigm becomes your core paradigm, which is your identity. And once you shift that, then there's not so much willpower. It's not you have to force it. It just happens.
Yeah. And it's interesting that you said that, Michael, because a lot of times when we talk about 9/11, especially when it was 10 years, 20 years, the one thing we all talk about was, where were you when it happened? That is the number one thing that people say. Yeah, I was on my way to work. I heard it on the radio. Yeah, I was, watching TV. Yeah, if somebody called me, where were you? So now I totally get what you're saying there.
Yes, and then when you add in what you want, and then you have that desire and that energy, it is very focused with the correct information that you want, the exact information. The problem is with a lot of times people don't really know what they want. They know what they don't want. But it's very important to know what you do want. Then you can form your whole being. That means your subconscious mind and your whole body, energy bodies all working together. And then the change happens, and it's not something you have to fight. It's not something you have to go back on over and over again. And like people can say affirmations till they're blue in the face, but if you don't believe that and there's no energy behind it, like you could be broke and say I'm a millionaire all day long, but your mind's going to say, nope, you're not a millionaire. So it's going to reject that.
Yeah.
But once you get to your whole being, it's there. The best, a lot of people have when they describe it, they say it's like you're giving somebody water. It happens. Like you drink the water. And as you go through more sessions, you drink the water and it just happens. It just becomes who you are. Like I said, your paradigm shifts. So that's what makes it so powerful.
Yeah. And what's interesting too is a lot of the components of the instant change method are things that people have been doing, but separately, be it hypnotherapy. If I understand it correctly, it's a form of hypnotherapy. Energy healing, it's a form of energy healing, or one of the components within there. So it's all of these things all mixed together, making that instant change.
Yes. And it's actually like the life science and quantum physics and neuroscience, and everything is actually backing this up. The more and more information that we learn, that this is why it's so effective. There's scientific proof behind this. It's not like woo woo, even though woo woo actually does work, but that's another issue. But it actually finds in science, so you don't have to be woo woo per se. But most people I do work with are spiritual, and I do find that having a spiritual component with that doesn't make it more powerful. And like they would say in AA, you get a higher power, whatever it means to you. So I think it's important you add that, but you don't have to 100% believe in that. But yes, that's what makes it so powerful because you're working with everything. Quantum physics, neuroscience, hypnosis, and meditation, which is pretty much like hypnosis is a deeper form of meditation. So, but you're working through everything. So you just feel it. Like you feel like you're transformed. It's not something you have to fight, have to think about. It just happens.
Yeah. How about some success stories?
Sure. I worked with a lady about 2 weeks ago. She's in her 40s. She's a very professional woman. She's in a good career. And she got so burned out from it that she had to take a leave of absence. She couldn't even go to work. She's afraid she's going to have to actually quit her job. So we actually did 3 sessions with her. And now she went back to work in about 3 sessions. And as far as I know, she's thriving. The way she checked in with me said that she's back at work and she doesn't feel that stress. She doesn't feel that burnout. Because the thing with modern society, it moves so fast that sometimes we just keep more and more to us, and we have that productivity. I want to say curse because I think everybody's like productivity, and she got burned out. But with instant change, she just transformed, and now she's thriving.
Amazing. And again, 3 sessions, right?
Yes, and not very long sessions either. The first one was about 35 minutes. Last 2 are about 15 minutes, and yeah.
See, that's the part that I have. It's hard for me to get my mind around that because I did a hypnotherapy session that took, I don't know, an hour and change, hour and 15, 20, 30, whatever it was. And, I saw benefits of it. Were the benefits of some of the things that you're describing here with the instant change method? No, everybody's different. But I have to imagine that it would be much, much more powerful in terms of changing what I'm looking to change, with the instant change method.
Sure, because with hypnotherapy, I am a trained hypnotherapist, that you actually go back, and all the time there's regression, you go back to inner child work and all that, which is good to a certain extent, but you're kind of getting to the issue, but you're not getting directly to it. You're not going directly to the transformation you want, which it's good to heal trauma. There's nothing wrong with that, and going back to that. But the thing with the instant change, you just rewrite your program. Your core paradigm shifts. So you do not have to go back to that. It's gone. It's flushed out of your system, and the energy component's actually flushed out as well. Because when you work with the mind, that's good, but you still have an energetic blockage into your system. I know a lot of people talk about blocks, and no one's ever showed me a block that doesn't exist. And someone shows me that, then I would believe that. But there are energy blockages. You can feel that in your system. You keep having something happen over and over again, and you don't know why. It's because you have an energy blockage in your system, and that's why you see the same patterns over and over again. It's not a block. That's something. Personal development kind of made that up, but you do have energy blocks. So once you have instant change, you get rid of that energy block. All the energy is flowing properly. Then that's how you make your change.
Yeah, and what you just said resonated because in the hypnotherapy session I had about 6 weeks ago, again, I thought it was beneficial, but did just what you said. Took me back. Regress me, childhood. I was there. I recognized some things. I already knew what they were, address them, but didn't rewire them or reprogram. It's almost as if I got half where I wanted to go, 3/4 where I wanted to go, but not fully where it needed to be done.
Yes, because you go back in the program, you're like, okay, you re-experience it, but you still have the same feeling. You still happen. You're like, okay, I experienced that. And of course, you have better perspective now, but you still have to
Right.
work through that trauma. Yeah, it's good. I went back there and it happened, but that takes a while. Sometimes hypnotherapy takes a few sessions. Then you also have to work on your own as well. But the instant change, you just rewire your whole being, then you don't have to worry about that. So that's what makes the instant change different. But I do also incorporate some of my hypnotherapy to make it more effective, and actually some other things that I've just started adding into my sessions about 2 weeks ago as well. I call them quantum questions, and we can go into that as well.
Sure.
And what I call quantum questions is, there's an old saying in the personal development work is to see, do, be. First you see it, then you get the motivation of what you want, then you do it, and then you become it, which is good, but it's kind of a workaround, a way to doing it. What quantum questioning is you already are assuming that is happening. It's a matter of language, hypnotic language, like you would assume that this already happened. Like you say, well, and one of the things that the biggest flaw that we have that holds us back from changing what we want is we need to be right. No matter if it's horrible that we're experiencing or whatever, we need to be right. So with quantum questioning, you are already assuming you're right. You already say what you're saying. Like an example would that be, why is it true that now I have this powerful change happening? Why is it true that I am already living in this reality? Why is it true that I am successful in business, in health? Why is it true that every day it gets more powerful, the change happens? Why is it already true? So that makes your whole being say, this is true. So it's not something you're fighting against. You're already assuming you are at the end. So that's what makes quantum questioning so powerful, to add that into the instant change with the hypnotherapy, which I've seen very good results with that.
I'm on your page. I really am, because that's how I refocused in my journey, my thinking. Like, for example, let's just say, hypothetical, you want to meet somebody special, somebody that's authentic, genuine, serves you, that perfect person in your mind. You already met them. They're there, or they're already there. You just need to either attract them, or there has to be the right moment, but they're there. They're floating in the universe. It's not like, well, when are they going to be there? I wish I could meet somebody. Same thing with, it's manifestation. That's kind of what it sounds like what you're saying. It's like, I wish I had that red sports car. That car looks really cool, the one that just drove by. No, it's that car's out there, and I'm going to have that car. It's coming to me. It's coming to me.
Yes, and that triggers your RAS system, your reticular activating system, which makes you look for that. And also the thing with you say, what is it true? Like I would rapid fire too. That's the mind can't counteract and be like, that's not true. Because if you keep rapid fire, then it's like, okay. And the more evidence that I get, the more it comes to more powerful with the energy. And I wish we could actually take somebody through that real quick. That would be nice, but maybe another time. But it actually is so powerful that you actually will feel it. And it's not something you fight against. It just happens. So
How do you phrase that again?
It's called quantum questioning, is what is the procedure's called. And what it is like you just assume it's true. You add more behind that. And what you do is about every couple seconds, like you would say one thing, and then you add another layer to it, and then add something else into it. So it's actually programming your whole paradigm. Everything's correlated to each other, like hypnotic language, but it's all feeding together, but different ways of looking at it. And so that adds the component also with the energy, because you actually will feel it. It's like, this is who I am. Just a matter of the universe of bringing it to me. And I say it's more reflecting. A lot of times people say that we attract things, which I think is a negative connotation, because everything that we see out in the world is a reflection. Like, as we always have heard in personal development, everything on the outside comes from the inside. It's just reflected outside. And the thing that I'm kind of switch gears with that a little bit. I'm kind of putting something else here. The thing that law of attraction kind of has issues with is that everything you feel is on a continuum. So like say you're on the love continuum, that also is on the fear continuum. So if your mind says, I'm not safe in a situation, you can only be in the love all you want, you're going to experience the fear. So you actually want to go to a higher level, so then you have that paradigm actually shifts. Because what people say, I want to raise my vibes, this, that, and the other. Yeah, that's good. But if you're on the love, you also have the counterpart to the fear. So if your mind doesn't think it's safe with the love, you're going to experience the fear. So that's another issue with that, but I'm going to add that into the quantum questioning. So
I want you to give me that because I want to remember it, and
sure.
I'm going to be driving in the car. Why is it true? Is that
Why?
the why?
That's the most important. You can also add a little bit more languages to, like, why is it true? Now that I am successful, why is it true? Another way of saying that, but the why is the thing, is the key. The why is always the key. You can also put in the what, like when I'm doing this or why, but the why is triggers it because you're saying now, why is it true? And your mind will look for that. Why is it true?
I love this.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool when we, get in our head properly. A lot of times, a lot of us are in our head and we're just not doing the right thing in there. Um, Fascinating. What are some of the other things that you've learned along the way? Actually, before you tell me that, for someone to be a practitioner of the instant change method, do they have to be a a hypnotherapist?
They do not have to be.
Hmm.
That's something that's just a combined training you can do yourself. I believe it's beneficial, but no, it's not required.
Hmm. I believe it's beneficial. In fact, what we're talking about, actually confirms that because you have a feel for the workings of reprogramming, rewiring somebody. When I talked about hypnotherapy, you knew exactly what I was talking about. You actually described what happened to me, short of not moving to the next step.
Yes. So, and then I know from my history that also, like, hypnotherapy is very good for a lot of things. It's very successful. Quit smoking, things like that. But like I said, what we said, as we mentioned before, the desire is the most important component of anything. You have to have that and exactly what you want to work with, but it's limited because you're only dealing with one thing. List. A lot of times people go to hypnotherapy and they're like, "Well, will this work?" Well, if you don't think it's going to work, then it's not going to work.
Yeah.
So, but this is something that you're going to transform. There's no, if you have that desire, this is going to trigger it. The emotion's going to set it in, and that it's going to happen. So that's why I like with mine because I also incorporate spirituality, the things I know about the quantum questioning, the hypnotherapy, the instant change. So we're working everything. So we're every component. The instant change itself is very powerful. You can actually just get the results just with that. But I think the other thing is just more ingrains that. It makes it part of your core paradigm. Because we're all running scripts, whether we know it or not. That's why we keep getting the same patterns over and over again. Until we change that script and that identity, which changes your core paradigm, the change is not going to be lasting. So you have to actually get to that level. And like I said before, we talked about, like, once ascension's done, it's not done. It's still working. Because I actually had some hypnotic language in, like I've worked with you before, kind of like things that patterns I did at the end from our mini session we did. I know it wasn't like a full blown session,
Yep.
but I had that in there too to actually re-trigger your mind. Because every time your mind sees that, it triggers us and say, "Why is this true?" Then you also say, "Look out for," like I'll say about the colors. Every time you see a color, it triggers your mind. Oh, why is this true? The more reinforcement you get, you got to change that paradigm, which makes it the most powerful thing.
So we have a question, instantfeedbacksteve@gmail.com. We're going to get to that in just a sec. By the way, we're talking with Michael Danielson, who is the owner of Michael Danielson, LLC. Instant change method, changing lives. That's what we're talking about. Jake is in Freehold, New Jersey, and I guess he heard us talking before, but wants to know, do you believe in the law of attraction?
No.
Okay.
I believe in that we reflect out to what we want. Um, I know that's like kind of when somebody say you don't believe in law of attraction, the community, you're like, what? But no, we actually, our paradigm reflects out into reality. So we're not attracting anything. We're just reflecting out to what we have. Once you change your paradigm, you change your definition of who you are, then outside will reflect that. So I guess that could be a workaround to law of attraction, but no, you're not attracting anything. Once you change yourself, what you see outside will be reflected. So you're not attracting anything. It's coming from your being.
Yeah. I think I get what you're saying. And it's, if you become a more positive person, and tell me if you agree with this, it's all about energy. Are we on the same?
100%. Yes.
If you change the way you are in terms of your energy, raise up your vibration, however you want to phrase it, but you have a more positive outlook. You could just walk in a room, you could walk in a store, and people will gravitate toward you. They'll just be nicer to you. And you might not even know, like, wow, this is kind of cool. People are nice because you're different. You're
Yeah.
putting out a certain energy, they're picking up on it. I think it's almost the same thing if you go to a party and you walk in, it's like, I don't know, everybody's kind of negative here. I think I want to leave pretty early. It's probably because there's a lot of negative energy in the room, and the reverse. You walk into a party and like, man, there's a nice vibe around here. I don't know what it is. Those people are very positive, and it's their energy that they're putting out.
Yes, and one of the flaws of the law of attraction community that they put the paradigm onto you because you're saying, why isn't this working? Because you're trying to be positive. You're trying to do this, but it's not working. So they're like, what's wrong with you?
Hmm.
How come you're not attracting what you want? But no, you don't attract, you reflect. You raise yourself up, you change your paradigm, and then you actually, what I would say, like you're saying before, like you won't actually vibe with those people. So you won't connect with them, so they'll naturally fall away. But you're not attracting anything, you're
Right.
reflecting who you are.
Yep, I totally agree with you. Yeah, there's no magic of just saying like, okay, bring that to me now. I'll take that now. No, it's got to start within. Again, meet the perfect person. Well, you might be in a getting your brakes done at a service center, and you have a positive energy, and you strike a conversation with somebody who's also kind of in the same positive vibe that you are, and that's kind of where it takes place. But if you're miserable, have a negative feel inside, and it's not just about negativity, it's your energy. And this is what I've learned in my journey. I didn't even know energy existed up until about a year ago. And it's pretty amazing. It's pretty fascinating, but that's part of where the change comes. And I have to believe with the instant change method, that's what's happening. You're changing somebody's energy. That's part of what you're doing.
Sure, part of the energy, but also the being itself, so your core paradigm. Because energy, one of the bad things too is also energy flows. I mean, it's not all the time. So your vibration could raise, but then it could lower. But
Sure.
once you transform your entire being, your actually energetic set point raises, and you have that information. So that your being, so you're transformed into that. And another thing with the law of attraction is that people hammer into, I need to have it this way. I gotta have it this way. It's have to happen this way. No, the universe is going to work in the best way that it can to reflect back to you what you want. Like you say, you want this, you want the emotion. Like people say, I want $1 million. No, you want the emotion behind that. I feel the security, I feel this from that. So once you have that of your being, then you'll naturally will move towards it. And you allow the inner universe, you work with the universe, not against it. You're not going against the stream, you're going down the stream. So that's another thing that is
Love
an
that.
issue.
Yeah, Michael, that's interesting because one of two things could happen. You want that $1 million. You really, like you said, you want the emotion behind it, but you could have $200,000 come your way and have the same feeling because you've raised up your vibration, right?
Yes.
And I guess the other side of it is you just are, you might not even have the money, but you feel fulfilled in
Yes.
some other way. You know what? I guess the cliche is, I feel like $1 million today.
Yeah.
Because that's what it is.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely. So yeah, and it's like a lot of times people are like they're so rich, but then they keep going to the life say, okay, well, say if you did get $1 million, now you're feeling insecure. What if I lose it?
Which, it's funny you should say that because I spoke with somebody recently who works with very affluent people, and everything is relative. And that's what they're thinking. What happens if I lose it? I need to get more. Um, it's almost as if they're never happy. Why? Because they need to change themselves,
Yes, they need to transform their entire being because they're not secure into themselves. So when you're
right?
secure yourself, the rest is just gravy on top. I'm okay either way. Whatever happens, I'm okay. I transform my being. This is the way I look at the life. And then, yeah, so they interviewed millionaires and they said 95% of them are miserable.
Yeah.
I
It's
mean, come on. I'm like, that's crazy, right?
right. Because but you just said it's an emotional attachment to it. Same thing with food. People have an emotional attachment to food. When they go out to eat at a restaurant, are they just loving the food? No, they're just attached to it emotionally, and it depends on how they're attached to it. Pretty powerful stuff. I've got a totally different, well, not a totally different, but a different view of the instant change method today. The way you
Uh,
present it.
yeah.
Yeah, super cool. For anybody looking for a change, at the very least, start with a conversation with Michael. What's your website?
It's icmrightnow.com, RIGHT now.com. And when you go to the webpage, on the front, I have a video there. You can do a webinar. And like we discussed before, I'm not the originator of the instant change method. I just work with it. It's Daniel Weinstock. He has a webinar with that. But if you want to talk to me and we can work with the things that we talked about, which you won't regret it. So you can actually go down to the bottom there and it'll say a link to schedule time with me. And I'll give you a free 30-minute session and we can actually go through this and I can take you through the quantum questions, take you through the instant change method process, and you can see for yourself that how powerful it is.
I believe, what was that phrase you said before?
Which one are we talking?
One when you said I believe why is it true?
Oh, why is it true? Yes. Why is it true? Yes.
Why is it true? I got to remember that because I'm going to be driving in the car and I'm going to say, why is it true that I enjoy talking to Michael Danielson?
Yeah.
Why is it true? Yeah. Fantastic.
Why is it true that I'm successful at my podcasts? Yeah. Why is it true that every day that I go into work that I attract the right people?
It's almost like an affirmation, but an interesting twist of the affirmation because it's almost a Jedi mind trick where you're programming your mind to believe that it is true, where it probably is anyway, but you need to keep pounding your head to believe that it is true.
Yeah, in your post, you're already saying it is true, so then your mind's going to look for evidence that why is it true?
We have such thick heads, don't we?
Ah, yes. Like I said, the number one thing is people need to be right. Unfortunately, even if they're miserable, yeah, I'm right, I'm miserable.
Yeah.
And yeah, and a lot of times I don't want to. I know one of the things that fear people. I know one of the scariest words. I actually researched this recently is change.
Oh, 100 billion%. Yeah, everybody is. Whenever I hear that word, I think of the David Bowie song, "Change," or "Change is." Turn and face the change. Nobody wants to turn and face the change. And how does that go? Time may change me, but I can't change time.
Yes.
Yeah. We'll take the time for the instant change method because it's only going to take you, 3 days of 20-minute sessions, give or take a few minutes, and make that change. Michael Danielson, always great having you on, and thanks for all the insight today.
Oh, no worries at all. Thank you for having me on. And like I said, anybody wants to, they can hit me up on the website and talk to you.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.